Burning city. Total blackout. Riots blocking every road. An ambulance carrying a dying girl, trapped in the dark. 6 bikers with one decision. But halfway through the worst streets in the city, they found out who was inside that ambulance. And they kept going anyway.
The city of Harlan Falls had been burning for 4 hours. Cars burned in intersections. Storefront glass covered the streets like ice. Orange firelight flickered across buildings abandoned hours earlier. Then, the power grid failed. Every traffic light, every street lamp, every signal, gone. Harlan Falls disappeared into darkness, lit only by fire. Inside Mercy General Hospital, Dr. Camille Okafor stared at the girl bleeding out on the operating table. Maya Reyes, 17 years old. Internal bleeding from a car accident 3 hours earlier. The surgery had gone wrong. Maya needed AB-negative blood immediately. The hospital had none. The nearest supply sat 11 miles away at St. Augustus Medical Center. 11 miles through riots, fire, and blackout streets. Dr. Okafor looked down at the city below. Then, she made one final call.
The Iron Sentinels were already riding. Not looking for trouble, not trying to be heroes. 6 of them had spent the night evacuating elderly residents from a blackout-hit apartment building on the east side. Their road captain was a man named Cage, 44 years old, former paramedic. He left the job years earlier after losing his partner on a call, but he still carried a radio scanner on his motorcycle, and he never turned it off. At 10:17 p.m., the dispatch broke through the static. Emergency blood transport needed. Mercy General to St. Augustus. All city units unavailable. Static swallowed the rest. Cage looked toward the burning skyline, then at the 5 riders beside him. Nobody spoke. He pointed downtown. That was enough. The route to St. Augustus cut straight through the worst part of Harlan Falls. Barricades, fires, crowds flooding the streets. Cage twisted the throttle. The Sentinels hit the first blockade at 5th and Delwood. Crowd 50 deep. Burning debris across both lanes. Bottles flying through smoke and darkness. Cage didn't slow down. The formation split instantly. 3 bikes left, 3 right. Headlights blasting through smoke while 6 engines roared through the blackout like thunder across concrete. The crowd scattered. The convoy punched through. Second block. A burning sedan blocked most of the road. Barely enough room on the left. Cage took it without braking. Flames scorched across his jacket as the others followed inches behind him. No hesitation. Third block. A line of men stepped slowly into the street. Not rioters. Organized, watching the motorcycles approach. One rider's voice crackled over the comms. Cage, Los Reyes. Every biker there understood the name. The most dangerous gang in Harlan Falls, and they were standing directly between the ambulance and the hospital. Cage slowed slightly. Hold formation. Don't provoke. The motorcycles rolled toward the blockade. 20 feet. 15. 10. Then one man stepped forward. Mid-40s. Scar along the jaw. Eyes older than the city around him. Dario Rivera, leader of Los Reyes. Where you going, viejo? Cage kept his voice calm. Mercy General called for a blood run. Girls dying. AB negative. 11 miles. Rivera's eyes drifted toward the ambulance behind the motorcycles. Orange hazard lights flashed through smoke and darkness. Something changed in his face. What's her name? Cage frowned slightly. What? Rivera stepped closer. The girl. What is her name? Cage checked the dispatch sheet clipped beside his fuel tank. Reyes. Maya Reyes. 17. Rivera staggered backward like somebody had punched the air out of his chest.
The men around him exchanged confused looks, because Dario Rivera suddenly looked less like a gang leader and more like a father hearing bad news for the first time. Maya Reyes was his daughter. He hadn't spoken to her in 4 years, didn't even know she was back in the city. And now she was dying, while he stood in the road blocking the people trying to save her. Rivera turned toward his men. One word: move. What happened next became legend in Harlan Falls. Dario Rivera and 4 members of Los Reyes fell into formation beside the Iron Sentinels, not as enemies, not as allies, as people who suddenly understood that some things become bigger than pride when death gets close enough. The convoy exploded through the city. Los Reyes cleared intersections from the front, while the Sentinels boxed the ambulance from both sides. Headlights carved through smoke-filled streets, while sirens echoed between burning buildings. The crowd parted, not because they were afraid, because for the first time that night, they were witnessing something worth moving for. The ambulance reached St. Augustus at 10:38 p.m., 21 minutes door to door, through riots, through fire, through a city tearing itself apart. The blood reached Mercy General at 11:02 p.m. Maya Reyes survived surgery at 1:14 a.m. The Sentinels never entered the hospital. They waited on their motorcycles inside a rain-soaked parking structure across the street until the surgeon's update came through the radio. When it did, nobody celebrated. Cage just sat quietly, staring toward the hospital lights through the rain. Then he started the engine. Dario Rivera appeared alone at the entrance to the structure. No crew, no reputation, just a tired father standing in the rain. For a long moment, neither man spoke. Then Rivera finally said, "I didn't know she was in this city." Cage nodded once. "She made it." Rivera looked down at the wet concrete. "Because of you." Cage shook his head slowly. "Because somebody called. We just rode." Rivera removed a worn St. Christopher medallion from his jacket and handed it to him. "My mother gave me this 40 years ago." Cage stared at it for a moment, then took it. Rivera nodded once and disappeared back into the darkness. The Iron Sentinels rode out of Harlan Falls before sunrise. No cameras, no interviews. Just 6 motorcycles leaving behind a burning city, carrying something heavier than they arrived with. And something lighter, too. Above them, smoke still stained the night sky orange. But behind the motorcycles, the ambulance lights were finally gone.
Cage never told anyone about the medallion. Rivera never told anyone he sat in his car for almost an hour after the Sentinels left. And Maya, she still doesn't know the full story of what happened that night. Maybe someday she will. Maybe it's enough that somewhere inside a burning city, 6 bikers and a gang leader stood on the same street and chose the same thing. And if stories like this still mean something to you, if you still believe people can choose humanity when it matters most, then this road is for you. So before you ride out tonight, leave a comment. Tell me where you're listening from. Tell me what part of the story stayed with you. And if you want more stories like this, more rides through storms, fire, sacrifice, and the code that still survives out there somewhere, subscribe and ride with us. I read every single comment. This is BikersLore. I'll see you in the next one.